What's up? Welcome to Rennthusiast. My name is Will and this channel is all about Porsche ownership. And if you are a Porsche 997.2 fan, then you're going to want to stick around because in this video I'm going to share with you guys the cars that I have found in my 997.2 search. So let me kind of orient you to this particular series of videos that I'm doing, and then we'll get into the specific cars that I have found. So I have decided that I want to experience owning a 997.2 Carrera S with a manual transmission. So if you guys know anything about this particular generation, you'll know that it is very difficult to find a manual transmission 997.2, particularly a Carrera S trim car. A couple reasons for that. Number one, in the 997.2 era, Porsche introduced the PDK transmission, and as a result, the vast majority of these cars were produced and sold with PDK transmissions. So the second reason they're very, very difficult to find is this generation is just rare in and of itself because it took place, it was produced during the global financial meltdown. So with low demand came low production, comes rarity at this point in time. So it's a pretty tall order to find one of these particular cars, and I'm ready to do it. I want to own one. I test drove one a few weeks back. I decided it's a cool enough car to get into the garage and share that experience of what it's like to own one with you guys. So I published a video sharing with viewers exactly what kind of car I'm looking for, and I asked you guys to send me cars that maybe you are thinking about selling that you currently own, or maybe you know of some listings for 997.2 Carrera S in manual. And I was actually pretty pleased with the results of that video. I got something like 9 different cars sent to me, and so in this video I'll talk you through them and kind of how things played out. Then also at the end of this video, what I'll do is I'll share with you the one car I have decided to pursue. And then in the following video, I'm going to tell you guys what the PPI results have revealed. So the first car that came to me, and this was a really interesting experience, it was a 2011 Carrera S 6MT in a gorgeous dark blue metallic. This car actually ended up being only 2.5 hours away from me, and considering the global reach of YouTube and the other platforms that I used to share my search, I was really kind of shocked that it showed up and it was only 2.5 hours away from me. I engaged the seller and we had a conversation, and I really felt like, you know, we had a good vibe and everything seemed on the up and up. And I ended up saying, look, man, I will drive up there tomorrow, day after tomorrow, whatever works for you to come see the car, and I'm sure we can put a deal together. So in that conversation, he sounded very committed. And in fact, at the end of the conversation, I said, hey, look, you know, in as much as you can commit to me not to sell this car before I get a chance to come look at it, you know, can you make that commitment to me? Oh yeah, I would never do that to you. I'm definitely all in. It sounds like this is a fit, blah, 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 blah. Basically, he was to send me some more information, like a walk around video of the car and some other things, and he just kind of went dark on me. I'm not one to chase a seller. I think sometimes people can get cold feet when it comes to selling a really special car, and that, you know, them's the breaks, it just happens. But, you know, in this guy's case, he finally responded. I did kind of like one last soft message over to him just saying, hey, you know, if you decided not to sell, that's cool, just let me know. And I get this back. I'll admit, it's gotten complicated. There's a dealer in, I won't tell you what state it is because I don't want to like reveal the guys. I just don't want to do that. There's a dealer in fill in the blank state who's offered me $75,000 and $15,000 for my Boxster. And I've been offered a trade for a pristine Boxster Spider. It's a lot to think about, and my wife is insistent that I pay attention to our company. So as the story goes too, he couldn't really engage with me because they had friends over. Apologize for the delay, but it'll be at least a couple of days before I can come up for air. Maybe this gentleman was telling the truth. Maybe I'm just cynical after doing many car deals, but I just kind of feel like I was getting played. Who knows? But that was the end of that, and it was a damn shame because the car had sport exhaust, it was manual, I mean, it was gorgeous. It was a killer car. On to the next one. Another car that came to me was a gorgeous, well-sorted Arctic Silver Carrera S with a very amazing interior. It's this natural leather interior. I had to do some soul searching on this car. As I said early on in the video, and as I shared in my want to buy video, I really, really want a car with some color. Arctic Silver, great color, but it's just not something that's going to add any pop to my garage. I'm kind of strange. I've got 2 black cars in my garage now, and I want something with some color to complement those. This Arctic Silver car, killer interior, but I didn't want to compromise on the color. So I ended up passing on the car. Just a little side note, I have compromised on things that at the front end of a search have felt very, very essential, such as color. And When I've done that, like I get pretty excited to buy the car and I get excited when it shows up, but my enthusiasm wanes pretty quickly and I always regret compromising. The third car I got, there was a guy that reached out to me, said, I have a 2009, I'm considering selling. It is Guards Red with a black interior. This was a very interesting car to me, only because like you don't see a lot of Guards Red 997.2s, at least in my experience. If you know anything about that or you want to say that I'm wrong, please let me know. I like Guards. I think Guards would give a good pop to the garage. This car was interesting to me. I talked with the seller, good guy. Had a nice story on the car. He was a longer term owner. The only downside in my view of that car is that it has 83,000 miles on it. So you get into that territory of, okay, well, could I get a good price on this car? Can I live with those miles? What condition is it in? How long am I going to keep it? And as you approach 100,000 miles, there's just something that I think happens in the minds of buyers where, you know, I just wonder what would happen when and if I decided to sell the car with regards to value and asking price as it approaches 100,000. Hope that makes sense. So anyway, I'll get back to that car a little bit later on. The next car that was sent to me was a Meteor Gray 38,000 mile example. It had sold on Bring a Trailer about a year ago. It seemed to be a very nice car, but you know, Meteor wasn't really getting it done for me. Again, it's a cool color. It's a great color. In fact, it's a great gray. I felt like it wasn't going to have the pop to it. Another car that was sent to me was a 997.2 Carrera black cab with 25,000 miles. Car had beige interior, and I guess if I was looking for a cab, I'd be very excited, but in this case, coupe only was what I was most interested in. This was a non-starter as well. I had another one sent to me. The guy said, I have one that hasn't hit the market yet. It may be the best C2S I've ever driven. It just has that thing that some cars have and some cars don't. It's black metallic / black though. So I already have two black cars, and this one was kind of like not of interest to me for that reason. I did kind of poke and prod at it. I went and looked at pictures of it. It turns out it's at a consignment shop, I believe down in Houston. And actually some of these folks that I told you about that were sending me listings, they sent me that. I'll bet you 3 people sent me that car, the listing online, and then I had the seller himself who had the car consigned. I had him reach out to me. So anyway, I passed on that. I just wasn't going to get into another black car. The next car I got was super interesting, a 2009 ruby red metallic example. It got me excited. It reminded me a lot of Arena Red. It's an uncommon color. This was the original owner who had owned it for many, many years, ever since it was new. He has a lot of maintenance history on it. The car was going to go for big money, and quite frankly, it was north of my budget. And while I like the idea of an interesting color, I mean, it's just not, you know, from a color preference standpoint, it's not my favorite color. And so I elected to pass on this. Another amazing car that I got, and this was out of control cool. It was a speed yellow 2012 Carrera S. I think it had 26,000 miles on it, something like that. It had a lot of cool options on it. I mean, a very amazing, special car. 2012, only a portion of that year were they making the 997.2s as they introduced the 991s. Rare with the year, rarer with the color, and with the low mileage, very, very, very enticing. That said, it was going to go for big money. I just decided to step away. Let's now get into the car that I decided that I want to pursue. It is the Guards Red car. And so the car has about 83,000, and I just made a little bit of list of kind of like things that bounce around in my mind when I think about a higher mileage 911 like this. So what repairs are going to be necessary now, or what's going to come down the pipe just, you know, very, very soon if I do buy the car. With this particular one, like, it's an interesting depreciation question. So as we talked about early on, this is a very rare model of 911. So there's a certain demand for it, and you kind of say, okay, well, I can always exit the car if I want to, very, very quickly, just based on the rarity of the car. What's cool about a higher mileage car is that it is typically a driver. I really prefer to drive my cars versus have them parked in the garage and stare at them. I do enjoy cleaning and looking at the cars, but I like to take them out on the road. So with the higher mileage example, that's doable. I don't like a museum or collector quality car. Back to that speed yellow really quickly. I think that car was going to be too nice to really take out, put on back roads with friends, following them closely. You just worry too much about the paint. The final point I'll make about the higher mileage, and this is a little bit of a conundrum, because they say to buy the most expensive Porsche you can afford, but with these higher miles, there should be an enticing price point on the car. And so all that being said, I've decided to go ahead and take a risk on this car, and I'm going to put it in PPI. pre-purchase inspection. I've engaged with the seller. He and I are on the same page with regards to a PPI. He's going to be taking that into the shop, and what I'll do in the next video is tell you guys what the PPI findings are. A little bit of a rambling video, but if you're a 997.2 person, hopefully you can see that these cars are indeed out there. If you get a little creative on sourcing them, you'll likely find something that meets your needs. I did see some comments under my video that I published looking for one of these cars. Somebody saying, yeah, I've been looking for months, I can't find one, I'm about to give up. So I consider myself fortunate that I was able to find them pretty quickly. So if you like Porsche content of any sort, definitely subscribe to my channel, and I do hope that you stick around for the next video in this series so that you can understand what it's like or what it's going to be like if you're looking for a 997.2.